Hello everyone, 2024 is coming to a close and we are going to get started with our annual top 10. If you're new, we do our top 10 video games we experienced this year, and we also have one for books and movies. So
new to us.
New to us this year. They could be
Not
new,
me.
they could be old, you never know. So you had one you wanted to mention before we get started with our top 10.
Yes. I'd say it's an honorable mention, but it is a dishonorable mention.
A dishonorable.
Dishonorable mention. This was one of the first games I played last year.
I remember you playing it.
Or this year?
This year.
This year. This is the Outbound Ghost for the PS4. From what I hear, this is the worst way to play it on the PS4. The PC is much more playable. This was such a cool game. It looked so pretty. It sounded so pretty. The music was awesome. I love the paper. And you watched some of it.
I saw you play a little bit, yeah.
The load screens, it was anywhere between 25 and 30 seconds every time it loaded a battle, every time it loaded anything.
I remember you getting stuck a lot because it kept glitching out and just freezing.
I had to restart the PlayStation multiple times, and then the very end, someone took acid, and it was just, but cool battle system. It had so much potential, and I would love to play this if it wasn't broken and it had a better story. But sad.
So we'll start with this. You started. What's your number 10?
My number 10 is Clubhouse Games 51. I love games like this that just have collections of little mini games. I wish there were more. Just the cell phone
that were
type,
physical.
Physical, yes.
There are a bunch, but they're all you want a physical collection.
And also not full price.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the problem too. Is that
$60 for a bunch of those is
just $60 for this. It's not. But this is just so much fun. You can pick it up, play it for 5 minutes, play it for 10 minutes. It's just a relaxing thing at the end of the night. I love that. And on the Switch, the best.
My number 10 is a game you had played before 2 years ago, maybe 1 year ago, 2 years,
at some
point, probably 2 years ago. The Order 1886.
Controversial.
And I know, because some people, I think the difference is you had already played this. I knew what to expect going in, and it was $5 or something like that.
It was less than $10.
That's the difference. But so for me, I really enjoyed it. It was, in many cases, more of a playable movie in a lot of aspects, but with more of the gunplay and things. But what was there, I thought, as far as being the type of game that it was, I thought it did a great job. It just, there needed to be more. I did not realize when I was at the ending that I was at the ending.
It does end very abruptly.
I thought there was 5 more hours left at least, but
very abruptly.
But what was there, I really liked. That's why it makes it my top 10. There's some games I liked less this year, and obviously 9 more I liked more. But this is kind of in the middle for me because it has its problems. It's not as complete as it should be. I wish there was a sequel. But what is here, I really enjoyed. Yeah. So I had a fun time with it.
It is really good.
Yeah.
I wish there was a sequel. My next one, I played one of these a couple years ago, and I loved it. And
So you got the rest of the series.
I have the rest of the series, and I played the rest of the series this year. This is probably towards the lower middle, because there's a couple that didn't make it. It's Shantae Risky's Revenge. I love the Shantae games. They're so much fun. The older style that they are, the harder they are for me.
The ones that were Game Boy games.
This one was very difficult for me. But I love it. I love the humor. I love the music. I love it. They're great.
For me, another one that you got.
Yes.
You basically, but
that was kind of. I knew you were gonna play it. But
Black Sad, Under the Skin, another one. I really wish there was a sequel to, because I've never read any of the comics. They're based off comic book series, but they are.
Was it from South America somewhere?
I don't remember.
I can't remember, but
because I've never read any of the comics. You bought this years ago, and I finally gave it a shot this year. But I love film noir. I love that kind of detective type stuff, and it's that, but with a bunch of anthropomorphic animals. People are animals, and I loved that, and I love the mystery, and I love the game that's not based on action. It's based on choices and solving a mystery and dialogue.
I feel like you're much more into that.
Yeah, and it was a perfect. I like games like that too when they are 10 hours or so-ish, or a little bit under, and it was kind of that perfect thing. I don't want everything to be a 100-hour-long RPG or whatever.
Definitely.
So,
especially with everything you've played this year. It's ridiculous. My number, what are we at? 8. Is New Super Lucky's Tale. I feel like you played RPGs and I played platformers all year.
That'll show up, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I love platformers. I feel like they're just so nostalgic. And this is kind of that PlayStation 1 N64-esque,
Doesn't that feel,
This was like a really just fun, like when I think of a platformer, this was a really good platformer, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Speaking of platformers, this is such a weird one because
I'm so upset this is so low.
It'll make sense as we go further down the list. But
Unacceptable.
if you watch this channel a lot, I actually recently did a video going over my favorite games of all time. So some of these,
that is also unacceptable.
And and this is a game that almost made it because it's my second favorite ever in a genre I've played since the late '80s. But Astrobot is my number 8 for this year. My second favorite in an entire genre is only my number 8. It seems crazy. It'll make sense as we go along, though, because this year, I do have to say, looking at everything I played this year, this is like a top 10 year gaming for me ever, maybe a top 5. 2024, I played a lot of stuff that I loved. It was.
And you played a lot of RPGs.
Like really good stuff. Like this year was as good as some of the early 2000s, which are some of my favorite years. But Astrobot, amazing game, incredible. My number 8 for the year. Seems crazy low, but it'll make more sense as we go through, because this year was just nuts.
Number 7 is a game that I have wanted for a really, really long time. It's on my list of digital games that I hope someday will become physical, and it finally became physical. This is Raji. This is such a...
It's really pretty.
Look up the trailer. It's so beautiful. This is from Premium Edition Games, which is probably one of the best as far as like indie ones. I can't get it out, but they have a slipcover within a slipcover. Absolutely gorgeous game, and it's kind of a puzzle platformer. Oops, there's the little dog tag you get. Absolutely gorgeous, and there was this game was like a whole odyssey trying to get it made, and I really wanted to support the creator, and it was so pretty, but it had so many problems, and it was so frustrating. But I loved it, but I wish it was longer. I think there's a sequel coming out.
Oh, that'll be good.
Hopefully.
Moving on to my number 7, a surprise find at a thrift store.
I can't believe you got that so cheap.
The only game I was missing from this series because it was stuck on the PS3 still. Yakuza Dead Souls.
I can't believe it's still stuck on PS3.
It's still stuck? Oh, as I talked about when I got the game and in my favorite games of all time, this is a game with a lot of problems. This is probably my favorite game that has the most number of problems. Like, it's not, there are a lot of issues, but I just had so much fun, and I think mostly just because I'm a big fan of that series of Yakuza Like a Dragon.
You'd be confused if you weren't a fan.
Yeah, I think just those characters and the setting,
that.
that comedy, and all the very Sega vibes of the time made me love this game. I was really happy I finally got a chance to play it, because copies of this game have gone crazy. They're super expensive, and happened to find it at a thrift store earlier this year, so.
I can't believe you found that at a thrift store. That's just nuts. My number 6 is one that I thought was going to be higher. I had a lot of fun with it, but I really wanted more, and I really thought this was going to be the next Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, you seemed really excited for it, but I didn't hear you talk about it a lot.
Yeah, this is Kirby, and I've never played a Kirby game, so I was excited. Forgotten Land was going to be my first one. It looked like Mario Odyssey. It had the cool mechanic where you can turn into all of the things. I'm not a huge Kirby fan, but it was a really fun, cute game. I loved the music. I loved the platforming. But it was just kind of meh. Like, I'd expect this from, like, an indie studio. Like, obviously not polished like this. But it was just kind of like, meh.
Like, well made, but not exciting.
Very well made. Very, very well made. But I wanted a little bit more of a challenge, and a little bit longer, and a little bit more of everything. And I didn't get that, and I'm sad.
So, what, number 6 now? My number 6 is the Tomb Raider Remastered Collection. The collection, because I had already played these 3 games before, the original PS1 versions, some of my favorite games ever, but moving in here, I really enjoyed this set. I talked about that recently. They did a brilliant job, so I thought that
from Amazon.
Amazing.
From Amazon, not from Limited Run.
Well, yeah, when this first, because it was digital only at first, and then Limited Run announced they were doing a version. Oh, okay. And then, like a week later, I was thankfully able to cancel my Limited Run order because an edition that's basically as nice as what they were putting out was coming just from Amazon then. It's like, I don't want to support Limited Run, so we'll get that. So, beautiful collection.
My number 5 is one that I tried to get you to play, and you played a little bit.
Yeah, I was not into that. I wasn't into that.
Not your thing. Yeah. This was all about the story. This was not about... I
hated the gameplay.
This was a puzzle game.
That was my thing, yeah.
And the gameplay had problems, but it wasn't about the gameplay.
Yeah.
The puzzles were cute, and they were okay. It's called Shady Part of Me. This is such a beautiful game. I love the atmosphere. I love the voice acting. It's somebody from Game of Thrones, Hannah Murray from Game of Thrones, which we have not watched. But absolutely beautiful game. Such a, like, I don't know. It's so creative and just so atmospheric, but not for Moogle.
No,
not for you.
I was liking the atmosphere and the art style, but just it was not into the gameplay at all.
I loved it, and it's a short game.
Yeah.
So it didn't overstay its welcome, but not for you.
Yeah. I didn't have very many short games this year because I'm
No?
going into my number 5, Persona 4 Golden. Now, Persona 4 has always been one of my favorites from the PS2. Love that game. Always wanted to play Golden, but I never owned a Vita. And
You had the game.
I had the game. I actually had Persona 4 Golden for the Vita, but then the Vita was discontinued. It started getting crazy expensive, and most of the other stuff I wanted on the Vita started already getting ported to the Switch. So I was like,
everything
just
I
forget
wanted
about
on the
it.
Vita is now
So,
on the Switch.
Finally got to play Persona 4 Golden, and it supplanted the original PS2 version as my favorite version of the game. This is my favorite version of Persona 4 now. So amazing game.
Blech.
One of the best years for RPGs. Just keeps going.
Persona is one of those things that just gives me a headache. Like the bright
You do not like
colors
Persona,
and it's just, and I love like Nocturne and but something better than that is another PS5 game. This game I tried to get on PS4, but it's really expensive. I'd actually love to have all the Shantae games on the Switch, but that's even more expensive.
That's crazy, yeah.
So I was really excited when Limited Run actually reprinted this on the PS5. It's Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. This is so good. This is such a great Shantae game. But it has some problems. It's a little bit difficult. But I love the music in this. I love, like, it's just...
I confuse a lot of them because I haven't played them, but I've seen you play all of them, but I've seen you play, like, parts of each one of them, so I forget which is which. I'm trying to think in my mind which one that one is. But
really fun game. This is the one with the islands.
Oh, okay. It's the one I watched. Yeah, I know which one it is now.
Really fun game, and I love this franchise. It's such a... I wish you could play it, but I feel like you would not.
I just don't think... I like the vibe, I love the music, and the characters are fun. I like watching you play them, but I don't know. They're just not for me to play. My number 4, Persona 3, again, it's the year of the RPG. That's why Astro got kind of kicked down so low, being as amazing as it is. Persona 3 Reload. And this was a very interesting one, and I talked a lot about in my review of it how it's a little mixed, but I still loved it. To me, there's a lot of the ease of play and a lot of things they changed and added to it, I think make it an overall better experience, but there are some things artistically that are not enhanced in any way. They actually take a little bit.
They took away.
No, the dungeons are better. Dungeons are so much worse because Tartarus in the original was just the same thing over and over again.
Okay,
that was hugely improved. There's some mechanics in here are more like easy to use and just the stuff that it just works better. It's more fun to play, and so I want to go back and play more. But they did change a few things artistically in a negative direction. They tried to make it a little more, I think, appeal more to people just started with 4 or 5. I think that's the vibe I got from it. So. A little mixed, but at the same time, I loved it. One of my favorite experiences this year.
This really is like the year of Sega and Atlas.
Yeah,
for you.
it is. Yeah,
It's weird. My number 3, moving right along, is a Vita game.
Again, yeah, the Vita comes back.
It's PS4's Tearaway. This is the Unfolded Crafted Edition. This was a really fun, unexpected game for me. I really had fun with this. I think this was such a creative game, and I'm sure it was very creative for the Vita as well.
You just kind of got it on a whim, though. Like, you like the paper crafting.
I love the paper crafting thing, and if you have any recommendations for either of us, please let us know, because we're always looking out for things. I love indie games, and this seemed more like indie for me, and I love this. The voice acting was great. I love the paper mechanics and everything, so I definitely recommend.
My number 3, one of the few video games that genuinely made me cry. This blew me away. Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man erased his name. This game, I could not believe. It was supposed to be a little side game, and it was like 35 hours I put into it.
Yeah, because you 100%'d everything.
Like, and I'm going to play it again, and it's amazing. Everything about it was so much fun, and the story was so impactful. And as a bridge between Yakuza, Like a Dragon 7 and 8, it works so beautifully into that story as a lead into Infinite Wealth. I mean, this is honestly one of the most emotionally impactful games I've played in recent memory. It was one of the very few games that made me cry. I loved that game.
And who called the ending?
Oh, I know you. Yeah.
I did. It was me. My number 2 is probably my second favorite Shantae of all time. This is actually the last one. I thought the Half Genie Hero was the last one, but Seven Sirens is the most recent one. I wasn't as much of a fan of the art style. It does seem a little bit different than the Half Genie Hero. But I love this game. I thought it was really, really well done. And it was much more accessible than some of the older Game Boy ones that are like impossible to play.
Yeah.
But I love Shantae so much.
That's the one I watched you play the most. Because that one sticks in my mind more.
Well, because I just finished playing this. And I beat this. This was like I think I spent like 8-9 hours altogether on it, but definitely recommend. I don't know if I would play them in order. I tried playing them mostly in order. I have to play Half Genie Hero again, but this one and the Half Genie Hero are definitely, and Pirates Curse are also. Those three are really good.
My number 2 is a game that I'm actually replaying now over the next couple of months in anticipation of a great pirate adventure. We have Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. Oh my gosh, I've spent
almost
so
100 hours on this.
Yeah, and I'm replaying it now.
The PlayStation says almost 100 hours.
And now I'm replaying it. There was a lot of stuff I didn't even do the first time through with all that because I spent like 25 of that on Dondoko Island.
Animal Crossing.
They
made Animal
Yakuza Crossing. This is just amazing. It's one of my favorite games ever. And it honestly has such incredible replayability. Like the amount of stuff that's in there in the Hawaiian setting. And I loved every bit of it. It had the great vibe of the stuff that Ichiban brought to the table at 7, with a lot of the old crew and Kiryu and teaming the two of them up. And again, this was as a tie-in for this, like this tying in then to this story. It was so emotional with the story of Kiryu and going down every one of those, like memory side quested every single one of those, and loved just looking at the whole franchise. Really, a brilliant celebration. And this is honestly like one of the most, I said in my review talking about all my favorite games, this is probably the most just downright fun, that element of playing video games. This is the most fun I think I've ever had with a video game.
Well, and I think
just incredible.
You always know when Stefan really likes a video game because he finishes it and then tries really, really hard to play something else and then goes right back and plays it.
Yeah, but this year I did not because this was like...
But you're playing it again
I'm playing
now.
it now. Well,
so,
to lead into the pirate thing. Yeah.
You try really hard to not play it again.
I wanted to go back.
But you just... When you really, really like something, you just want to immediately go back.
This year, with all those RPGs, there was not a way of doing that.
A little difficult.
But yeah, oh my gosh, incredible.
My number 1 is not a surprise.
Coming a mile away.
It's so great. It's amazing. It's probably the best of its kind.
To me, it's my second favorite platform. I know it's your favorite ever.
You and Captain Toad have a little bit of a love affair. It's Astrobot. This is, especially someone like you who is so obsessed with the PlayStation and with Sony, this is just such a love letter to the history and all the franchises and just like the buttons, like everything. The consoles, like literally everything. That boss battle at the end, just like going through like the history of the PlayStation. Like I am not in love with it like you are, but
because you were more of a Sega and Nintendo kid, and I was a Sega and PlayStation kid.
But amazing, like perfect game. Like
it was a lot of fun.
Perfect game, and so much.
Yeah, it's a lot bigger than I thought. Yeah.
It's done now, and it's not. But it didn't feel like, oh my gosh, you gotta keep playing.
No, it just kept finding new levels in Lost Galaxy.
And then the DLC was great too.
Yeah.
I had such a good time, but it should be your favorite.
Yeah.
It should.
Yeah. My
this
number
was
one
such a
game of the year. Oh my gosh, this is not just my number one game of the year. This made it into this is a new entry in my top 10 games ever. From just incredible. Rebirth, Final Fantasy VII. Rebirth, the second part of the remake trilogy. It's that good. It was everything that I wanted from this and more. This was more than I expected.
Square Enix says, "Give me your money," and you say, "Yes,
yes, sir." It was amazing. This is just I can't get over how great this was. Like I played it twice this year, and I really want to play it again right now because it's so good. It's the way. In like 1997, 98, when I was playing Final Fantasy VII originally, how my mind envisioned that world as you're going through during the PS1 era, and like you enter the world map, and like that's what I saw as a kid in my imagination is what was on screen when I was playing this, and the insane scope of the world and how much you can explore and how alive it felt and everything they added actually added something to the experience. It wasn't like, oh, there's like just padding out into 3 games. This is like they had everything. It made it better. Like this section I like better than this section in the original game, which is insane to say. And all the like mini game stuff, all the extra stuff they had, like it's all this optional like fun to explore the world, just have a great time with these characters. This is, I think, this is one of the best games ever made. It's remarkable. I can't imagine what Part 3 is going to be like when that finally comes out. But easily my game of the year.
I don't know. How much money do you think you're going to spend by the time it's all done?
Not as much as some crazy people, but all the different parts, because who knows? Maybe I think they're going to start porting them to Switch 2 in the future. We'll see.
And who's going to buy that?
Them all. Yep.
Yep.
But yeah, so look at our top 10
I get
games
Astro
of the year.
because you don't deserve it.